The spaceship you are looking at is called the Cargo Starlighter, and onboard is the state-of-the-art terraforming equipment, including, and not only limited to, 100,000 million nanobots called the nanoflora CO2 extractors and quantum entanglement communicators. Traveling 750 million miles per hour, or 1.2 billion kilometers per hour straight to Venus. The arrival will be in the next 2 minutes. As the entire world braces itself, every child, man, and woman is glued to their screens, waiting for this historic moment to take place. SpaceX commentators make the official announcement. "We are now breaching the atmosphere, folks. You're about to witness history being made. One giant leap for Earthkind, one colossal transformation for Venus." The heat shield is in place, the Venus entry vehicle has been deployed, and landing is in sequence. The landing was a success. The Venus entry vehicle deployed a series of drones that covered the atmosphere in a split second. The first task, releasing those 100,000 million nanoflora CO2 extractors into the Venusian atmosphere. And the terraforming process has begun. What lies ahead for mankind as we desperately try to terraform Venus to be our new home? Can we turn this hellish planet into a heaven for humanity? Once terraformed, how will we maintain it? And can human life survive on a planet that once had sulfuric acid rain? The Venus entry vehicle separated from the Starship and entered Venus's atmosphere at a speed of about 11 kilometers per second. The heat shield protects the capsule from temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius and ablates about half of its mass. The parachute deployed at an altitude of about 50 kilometers and reduced the speed to about 200 meters per second. The retro rocket fired at an altitude of about 10 kilometers and further slowed down the capsule to about 50 meters per second. The balloon inflated at an altitude of about 5 kilometers and lifted the capsule to a stable position at about 55 kilometers, where the temperature and pressure were comparable to those on Earth. As soon as the vehicle lands, the drones are released into the thick Venusian atmosphere. Specks across the yellow-pink skies are seen. Nanoflora CO2 extractors are microscopic, measuring approximately 100 nanometers in diameter. This allows them to be suspended in the atmosphere, maximizing their exposure to Venus's carbon dioxide-rich environment. Their task is to convert CO2 to oxygen and methane. Constructed from lightweight and durable carbon nanotubes, they can survive whatever Venus sends their way, even sulfuric acid rain. Coated with alkaline earth metals, these nanobots absorb and retain carbon dioxide within a matter of picoseconds. A consistent stream of nanobots is released every 6 months to cover the planet and maintain the removal of CO2 and oxygenation of the planet. Nanoflora takes 5 years to reduce the CO2 concentrations from 96% to almost 4%. The next challenge humanity faced was the blinding white disk in the sky, the sun. But not for long. A fleet of rockets soared from the surface of Venus, carrying huge metallic disks that unfolded like umbrellas in orbit. They were the sunshades, the second stage of taming the atmosphere. The sunshades were designed to deflect a portion of the sunlight away from Venus, reducing its heat and energy input. This would mitigate the risk of a runaway greenhouse effect, which could undo all the efforts of cooling and reducing the atmospheric pressure the nanobots had done. It also allows for controlled heating so that the planet can reach a comfortable and stable temperature range. The sunshades were not a permanent solution, but a temporary measure. They could be adjusted or removed as needed, depending on the feedback from the sensors and satellites that monitor the planet's climate. The ultimate goal was to create a natural balance between the incoming and outgoing radiation, without relying on artificial intervention. The deployment of the sunshades took 2 years, and then it took 10 years to show significant effects on the planet's atmosphere and surface. In a complex and delicate operation involving precise coordination and timing, we managed to reduce the surface temperature by 364 degrees Celsius in 17 years, from 464 to 104. It wasn't enough, but it was something. The sunshades had to be positioned at the right distance and angle from the Sun and Venus, forming a ring around the planet. They also had to avoid collisions with other orbiting objects, such as probes, satellites, and debris. The atmosphere began to cool down and stabilize, and the surface temperatures showed signs of moderation. The greenhouse gas levels were closely monitored to prevent unintended consequences, such as freezing or condensation. So far, terraforming proved to be a major success. Meanwhile, back at home, the team of 50 brave astronauts braced themselves for a journey to the new planet. Mankind has been waiting 17 years since the first cargo starlighter reached Venus to start phase 1 of terraforming. Now it was up to them to take control of the mission and set up a habitat for mankind. The team consisted of engineers, biologists, astronomers, and intellectuals from all walks of life. The President of the United States addresses the astronauts set for Venus. Ladies and gentlemen, your mission is noble, and your bravery is unmatched. I want you to know that the entire world is watching over you. This venture to Venus is a testament to human determination and spirit. You will go down in history as the greatest pioneers known to mankind. Go get us a new home. The Venusia Voyager is set to take 50 astronauts to stay in Venus's orbit as the cargo starlighter deploys terraforming mechanisms, answering back to SpaceX and NASA. Their journey takes 4 months. The terraforming team had achieved a remarkable feat. They had lowered the atmospheric pressure and temperature of Venus to a level that could support liquid water. But water alone was not enough to make a planet habitable. They needed life. Sulfuric acid was one of the biggest challenges for the terraforming team. The planet's atmosphere was rich in sulfur dioxide, which reacted with water vapor to form sulfuric acid clouds and rain. The acid was corrosive and toxic, damaging the equipment and endangering the life forms. The team had 2 main strategies to deal with the acid problem: neutralization and removal. Neutralization involves adding substances that could react with the acid and make it less harmful, such as bases or buffers. Removal involves extracting the acid from the atmosphere and disposing of it safely, such as by launching it into space or storing it underground. The team used both strategies in different stages of the terraforming process. In the first phase, they used mass drivers to launch excess sulfur dioxide and sulfuric acid into space, reducing the atmospheric pressure and greenhouse effect. In the second phase, they imported water from comets and asteroids, which diluted the acid and lowered its concentration. In the third phase, they introduced genetically modified plants and algae, which neutralized the acid and produced oxygen. The plants and algae were specially designed for Venusian conditions, using synthetic biology and nanotechnology. They had enhanced photosynthesis and metabolism, allowing them to grow fast and use sunlight efficiently. They also had protective coatings and mechanisms, such as waxes, hairs, spines, or glands, that could resist or secrete the acid. Some of them even had symbiotic relationships with microorganisms that could detoxify or recycle the acid. The team selected 4 regions for the initial experiment: Ishtar Terra, Aphrodite Terra, Lada Terra, and Atla Regio. These regions were relatively high in elevation, avoiding the extreme heat and pressure of the lowlands. They also had some geological features that could provide shelter and resources for the plants and algae, such as mountains, valleys, craters, and volcanoes. The team used rockets and drones to deliver the seeds and spores of the plants and algae to the regions. They also deployed sensors and cameras to monitor their growth and development. The plants and algae thrived in their new habitats, forming green patches on the otherwise barren landscape. They produced oxygen and organic matter, enriching the air and soil. They also reduced the acidity of the rain and rivers, making them more suitable for life. The team was amazed by the transformation they had initiated. The surface temperature was now at 60 degrees Celsius. They decided to take their experiment to the next level by constructing pressurized habitats on the surface, serving as experimental colonies for microbial life and small-scale agricultural initiatives. The team selected 10 sites within the 4 regions, where they built dome-shaped structures that could house up to 20 people each. The habitats were equipped with life support systems, laboratories, greenhouses, and communication devices. The habitats were ready by 2135, and the astronauts arrived shortly after. They were greeted by a sight they had never seen before, a planet with signs of life. A pink-yellow sky, newly terraformed land, hot water streams, and the air almost as light as air back home. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the savior of mankind, Venus, in all its glory, said the mission specialist Gene Rogers as humans take their first steps on Venus. They could see the green patches of plants and algae from orbit, as well as the domes of the habitats. They feel a mix of excitement and curiosity as they prepare to embark on their mission. The astronauts were wearing the Venus Venture XT, a cutting-edge spacesuit for exploring Venus and tackling the planet's extreme conditions. With a heat-resistant outer layer and advanced insulation, it shielded astronauts from high temperatures. An active cooling system managed excess heat, and a flexible exoskeleton facilitated mobility in Venus's higher gravity. The suit's life support system generated oxygen and efficiently removed carbon dioxide. Its helmet had a wide display and communication system. Articulated joints ensured natural movement, while self-healing materials addressed damages. Waste recycling and an inflatable shelter module enhanced sustainability and safety in unforeseen situations. Divided into teams of 5, each team was assigned to a habitat. They spent their days collecting samples, conducting tests, planting crops, and maintaining systems. They learned a lot about Venus and its life forms. They found out that some of the native microorganisms had adapted to coexist with the plants and algae, forming symbiotic relationships. They also found out that some of the plants and algae had mutated slightly, developing new traits or behaviors. The year is 2161, and the surface temperature has reached a friendly 35 degrees Celsius. Humans have officially established their presence on Venus, and they're here to stay. The team established the first human settlement, named New Dawn Base. It consists of modular habitats and research facilities equipped with advanced life support systems, schools, hospitals, community centers, and farms. The base serves as a hub for scientific and engineering activities, as well as a home for the settlers. The team is not alone. They are joined by hundreds of robotic assistants, ranging from small drones to large rovers. One of these robots, Elon Musk, is a direct descendant of Elon Musk. These robots help with various tasks, such as exploration, construction, maintenance, and security. They also provide companionship and entertainment for the settlers. The team is also connected to Earth and other planets through a quantum entanglement communicator. They can send and receive messages, images, and videos with their families, friends, and colleagues. The team is part of a larger project called Venus Ascendant. This project aims to turn Venus into a second Earth, a habitable world that can support life and civilization. The project is funded by all 192 governments of Earth, corporations, and organizations who share a common vision of interplanetary expansion. The fourth phase was to create a diverse and complex ecosystem and a human civilization. This was achieved by using genetic engineering, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and artificial intelligence to create new species of flora and fauna, as well as by building cities, farms, industries, and cultural centers. The fifth phase was to finalize the stabilization of the atmosphere and temperature. This was achieved by using large-scale infrastructure projects to reshape the Venusian landscape. Artificial oceans and lakes were created, utilizing advanced water extraction and distribution technologies. Scientific outposts were established across the planet to monitor long-term environmental changes. Venus had been transformed into a habitable world, complete with oceans, forests, and a breathable atmosphere. The story of Venus Ascendant became a beacon of human achievement in interplanetary exploration. But the story is not over yet. The settlers on Venus face new challenges and opportunities every day. They have to adapt to their new environment. They also have yet to explore their new home, discover its secrets, and protect its wonders. While humanity was busy celebrating its colossal win, something was wrong. The data coming in from the quantum spectroscopes was starting to confuse biologists. The plant life was mutating again, but not in a good way. As it turns out, that the plants were starting to develop a slightly aggressive nature towards humans. Algae-infused vines have now gained an unusual mobility trait, slithering across the Venusian landscape. These carnivorous vines actively seek out and entangle anything in their path, displaying a predatory behavior reminiscent of Earth's carnivorous plants. These plants weren't just carnivorous. The excess sulfuric acid and CO2 in the atmosphere had altered their nature. They would also start to form psychotropic pollen clouds. Certain mutated algae release psychotropic pollen clouds that induce hallucinations and altered mental states in humans. Astronauts navigating through these regions started experiencing disorientation and impaired decision-making, jeopardizing their safety despite the safety measures put in place. And then the worst that could have happened, happened. Unintended genetic modifications in the algae have led to the development of organisms capable of emitting electromagnetic pulses. These pulses started to disrupt communication systems and electronic equipment, presenting a significant challenge for both human settlers and robotic missions. The Zelon Musk, a robotic droid that was on Venus to help analyze the plants, started to go haywire. It started running around haphazardly, leaving eerie warnings for people. Leave, Venus, Venus, said, leave. The robot's warnings began to be taken more seriously when people began to disappear, only to be found with plants growing inside of them, with third-degree burns in their internal organs. Venus was rejecting humans. It was either we fight for the planet we created, or obeyed its commands. And the choice we would make would determine the future of mankind on the planet, Venus.